What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Bird Flock podcast. Today, we're joined by quarterback for the Montreal Alouettes and recipient of a brand new extension, Davis Alexander. Davis, thank you for joining us, man. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Oh, I'm great. Appreciate you for having me on, and let's do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First off, I think congratulations are in order for the extension. That's huge. We were obviously fired up to see it. You're joining one of, I'm sure you saw Joey Alfieri, his tweet. You're joining probably the best quarterback room in the CFL now, or rejoining, I should say. But obviously the financials around the Alouettes, everything was a bit up in the air up until that Friday, February 14th,
Mhm.
opening a free agency. But how long was that discussion for your extension going on before that?
Yeah. It was about. I mean, it had been going on since about like end of January, like probably January. I think we started like January 30th.
Okay.
Right around when the East West Shrine Bowl, the college showcase in Vegas. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's when we started discussing. Um, and we were close to. I think I actually signed like maybe the 10th or 11th,
Okay.
but it just wasn't put out there until later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think we were even close to signing before that. But then there was a little bit of um, whatever issues with ownership and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of put on pause for a second, and then we got back to it.
Amazing. And so I want to quickly, before we get into your life as a pro and your life with the Owls, I want to jump a little bit back to Portland State. So you're
Yeah.
pretty much top two in every single passing category that could possibly exist. And you were obviously super successful in your time there. I'd love to hear a little bit more just into how your time at PSU kind of molded you into the player you are today, and we see on the field with the Owls.
Yeah. Honestly, I got, pretty fortunate at Portland State. I was a 3.5, 4 year starter. Um, and I think that just has helped with, obviously the more experience you can get, the better you're gonna be in all aspects, not just physically, but leadership and all that, and
Mhm.
learning how to win, handling how to lose, all that stuff. So, just being able to start, I think I started around, I'm not sure, 35 games in my career. And just, there's not a lot of people that are fortunate enough to get that opportunity. Um, so, that was a huge blessing. And I couldn't beat out Neil Lomax. He's got me pretty good in all those passing categories. So that
Yeah.
was when they did that. Him and Mouse Davis, they kind of started the run and shoot offense.
Mhm.
But I have the Division 1 records, but
There
not
we
the
go.
Division 2 because they were
There
D2
we go.
back in the day. But I still say number 2 all the time because you
Mhm.
can't discredit what Neil did.
Mhm.
But yeah, just to go back, I mean, it was just an incredible experience, and playing in some big games, a lot of our non-conference games we got to go up against SEC type competition, Pac-12, even some of the higher Mountain West teams in Boise State. um I mean, to me, I it was always still just a confidence boost because I felt like I could still play with guys who are supposed to be a lot better than me. So it's overall a great experience, and I wouldn't ask for much more of a difference.
So stepping into to you coming to the CFL after that, how were you first introduced to it, and when did you realize that this was something you wanted to do in your next step in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say I followed it super close, but like if it was on TV, I was gonna turn it on. But I was always familiar with the league a little bit. I knew three downs, I knew the motioning forward, I knew the field was a little bigger. Um, and it was kind of brought, I was open to playing obviously anywhere. Well, CFL, NFL, CFL, XFL, USFL, all that stuff. But it was kind of brought more to my attention my senior year. When I was told, a couple scouts had come through from various teams, CFL scouts. Um, and then June Jones, he came and watched one of our practices, and I think he was a CFL like legend or like coach, I believe, or general
Mhm.
manager or something. But I know he had a big part in the CFL. Um, and he was just like, with your arm talent and your accuracy, you could be really good at the CFL level. And I kind of just took with it, and like I, I don't know. Obviously, everyone's goal probably is to go to the NFL, but I have no, there's no shame in me. I would be in the CFL for 15 years if I, you know, if I'm fortunate enough to get that opportunity. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So, um, as soon as I figured out I was on Montreal's neg list, I kind of pushed my agent. I like foregoed all NFL stuff, and I signed in February of my draft year. So I was just like, let's not even mess with the NFL, and let's just go straight to the CFL and let's get it done.
Mhm. And how much did you, talk to Montreal while you were on their neg list? Were you like I've heard of guys that don't even really know it, really, that they're on these negotiation lists. But how active was, your conversation with the Owls during that time?
Yeah, so I had no idea. I was on their neg list for a
Mhm.
year plus until I found out, and that was during the height of COVID. So like I got put on while everything was shut down. You know what I mean? And I personally never talked to like Danny or anyone in the organization. My agent just talked to Danny because he used to represent Anthony Calvillo back in the day.
Okay.
So him and
Mhm.
Danny have some sort of relationship. So they were able to talk things out. And I didn't even know what the neg list was. Like, I was just along for the ride, and I was just like, please sign me. Let's get this done. I was training for pro day and all that stuff, and I'm like, man, if I just sign, get this huge weight off my shoulder, because you never know if you're,
Mhm.
like I said, I don't even know what a neg list is, so I was like, is this real? Like, does this team actually want me, or are we gonna go to negotiation? They're just gonna say no. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Right.
please, 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 just let's get it done.
So there you go. You kind of just alluded to my next question. I guess with your agent kind of knowing AC, um, it helps. But how great was it for you to be learning from two, CFL greats, and AC being your coach, and Trevor Harris obviously being the starting quarterback last year?
Yeah, I mean, it was like a picture perfect year for me. I mean, Vernon, he's been in the league for, I think this is his seventh year, maybe coming
Mhm.
up, right around there.
Yep.
Mhm.
Seven. Dom Davis, I think he's in year 10 in the CFL, year 13 as a professional. And I think Trevor's like, I think he's year like 16 as a professional, maybe. I don't know. Those might be wrong. But and then obviously AC, what AC's done, it all spoke for itself. And just every day, I was able to learn from those guys, even when the time when VA was here. VA and I were pretty close coming in because he was a big Sky guy. That was the conference we played in. He was a big Sky guy. He was living in Tacoma, Washington, which is near where I was training. So I trained with VA a couple times before I actually went out to Montreal after I signed. But he was tremendous with me, and there was never any jealousy or anything like that in the room, even with all three, not like me not being included. Those three guys are all starter capability guys in the CFL, so it was a really clean room, and we all just piggybacked off each other, and we all have somewhat different playing styles. So it's just really cool to learn from all these guys who have all had success in the league.
Mhm. And then this year, obviously, you're going to be introduced to two more, great CFL guys in Jason Moss and Cody Fajardo. How much have you spoken to them already? Obviously, Coach Moss was announced in December, I think, but so I'm sure you've had the time to speak with him a little bit. But with Cody over the past, week or two, how much have you spoken to them?
Yeah, Coach Moss, we've talked a couple of times. Kind of working on the offense right now, so I'm sure we'll be more in touch. And he's so I'm living in Arizona right now, and he's actually from the area, so I think he's gonna come down sometime, and we're gonna chop it up. But and then Cody, when he signed, he reached out to me actually. Um, and then we've talked a little bit back and forth, but a couple of the receivers, we've talked about getting a group together,
Mhm.
and finding a spot. I think Cody's in Reno, Nevada.
Yeah, he's in-
But I think we're gonna try and find like maybe a nice little vacation spot or something like that, and get together before, just because he knows the offense, and we'll all just get together for a week or something like that. And um yeah, so working on that right now.
Sweet.
So I just want to jump back to your contract negotiation here, and you kind of touched on it before about the XFL, the USFL, like you just want to play pro. Um, this league here in the CFL, it's very rare for someone to become like the starter for a long time until they're about between 26, 28. And you're a young guy, you're 24. Did you ever consider leaving the CFL this year during your contract negotiation to go to one of those leagues?
No, I didn't. Also, I don't know if you're allowed to. I honestly haven't really looked into it, but I actually did. I won't say a team or anything, but I actually did receive the USFL contract um about a month ago. But I never even like really looked at it or hindered, and with the boys, let's go Montreal.
For sure. And like Shane said, it's this league, especially for American guys coming over and kind of adjusting to the game. That window of that 26 to 28-year-old to kind of take over and have that full experience to be a bona fide starter in the CFL. For you personally, how do you coming from your time in college, where like you said you were a 3.5, 4-year starter, started 35 games, whatever it was. How do you stay patient and kind of stay motivated, knowing that it's going to take some time for you to be that number one guy and just adjust to the Canadian game fully?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just your everyday battles of
Mhm.
truly wanting to get better. Um, and the ultimate goal is we want to win football games. So whatever I can do, I take my scout team reps as serious as possible, and because everything's still an evaluation in itself. So sure, yeah, it is a little. Obviously, everyone should want to be out there and want to be playing, but I'm also not dumb, and I understand it's gonna, it takes time, and I may feel like I know the game, but I probably don't know the game as much as I need to. Compared to other guys in the league, obviously, who have been around it forever. Um, it's just like going from being the star in high school to being
Mhm.
in college. I was super thrilled to redshirt my first year, and I don't want that to sound like I didn't want to play, but it's just like it's a different speed of the game, and
Mhm.
it's going to take adjusting, and you learn as much as you can, and to give yourself the best opportunity to succeed whenever your time comes. Um, but regardless, unfortunately, it's contact sport and injuries do happen, so you got to be ready to go at any time. And
Mhm.
and especially in such a competitive league, in a 9-team league, there can't be a huge drop off from your one to your third guy or your second guy. So or else they're gonna find someone to replace you. So figure it out.
And so, like you said, it's going to take a lot of adjusting to this game and whatnot. Have you had, a big like what would you say your biggest adjustment was? Have you had like a welcome to the CFL moment, like holy shit, this isn't what I expected, or
Honestly, not really. I don't know. I felt like I got eased into it like pretty perfectly, and
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, nothing sticks out to me like where I'm like, damn, this is not what I was expecting or whatever. Just I love the wide field, and I love I feel like it really benefits me with my arm strength, and like
Mhm.
I don't know, I've had a great experience so far, so I can't really put my I can't really put anything. Hopefully that moment doesn't come for a long, long time,
Yeah.
and hopefully I can just gel in and keep gelling. But obviously, there's probably going to be rough patches. I'm dumb to say there's not, but let's limit those as best we can.
And now after your first season, you got to play in the last game of the year.
Yeah.
And how did that make you feel that you got called up and they gave you that opportunity to get in there?
No, yeah. I mean, that's one of those check the check box or whatever they call it. All those things that you dream about, playing in a professional game, not a preseason game, but a real game. The atmosphere, and I thought I played okay. Obviously, one decision that I want to have back, but outside that, I thought I kept my cool and composure, and yeah, I mean, it was special for sure. Um, any opportunity to re-showcase what you can do, and I thought it spoke volumes about the organization, what they believe in me and all that. So yeah, it was a blessing for sure.
And now in your I guess first off season that you know what to expect, how have you changed like your approach to your off season workout programs and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's definitely as a first professional off season, it's been more, I haven't had to worry about other stuff, going to work and stuff like that in school. So it's like I still feel lazy because I'm doing a workout from like 9:30, like around 9:30 to 1:30, sometimes to 3. But I'll get home and I won't do shit. And I'm like, I gotta do something, you know what I mean? But like in reality, you're working out a decent amount of time, but I'm still sitting there. I'm like, come on, like I got it. There's got to be something else I can do. You know what I mean? But no, I mean, obviously, implementing it's different. It's just weird because you come back here and you don't have the CFL size field, so you're throwing the guys on a regular field, and you're like, wait, that ball shouldn't be going out of bounds like that. You're like, ah, well, shoot, I'm throwing guys out of bounds. I'm like, that shouldn't happen. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, we play on a 65-yard field or whatever. But no, it's been, it's just, I don't know. It's the best way to say it's just very professional. I'm a lot more taking care of my body, even though I didn't really play, obviously.
Mhm.
Like, more stretching, mobility, stuff like that, rather than just weight room work. I mean, I'm still lifting, obviously, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A little, it just seems like more detailed. We'll put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna ask one last question before Dawson kind of wraps it up here. For you personally, or for the team in
Yeah.
general, what kind of expectations do you have going into the season?
I mean, for the team, I think we're all on the same boat. We want to, compete for a championship. I think that's the goal every single year. Um, excuse me. I don't know. I think there's a lot of, or maybe I don't know. I think there's a decent amount of doubt going around, like on Twitter and all that stuff. And I don't, people say not to pay attention to that stuff, but I just do it more for curiosity. Like I never would let that,
Mhm.
poison get into my brain. But I think we're all looking at it like, obviously losing uh Gino, that his production hurts no matter what. But you have studs all around this team who, Tyson went for like 140 in the playoff game, became an X factor type. I know we've signed some guys, and Keon, he's broken out of his shell some games, and he's looked like he could be a complete number 1 receiver. So and we had some great re-signings, with Wes and all those guys, and we brought back some great defensive players, and I mean, I think we're still looking at it the same. It's a championship or bust, no matter what. And then personally for myself, just I just got to go out and compete, and be ready whenever my time comes, and no matter what, I'm gonna do whatever I can for us to win. This is the most important thing, and I'm very selfless person. So yeah, I'm excited to learn from Cody. I'm excited to learn from Caleb. Obviously Coach Moss, and then be back in the same room with Cavillo. So you know, I'm ready. I'm chomping at the bit. Let's do this thing.
For sure. And like we spoke with Cody last week, and the main thing he said was there's a lot of guys coming in with chips on their shoulders. And I think the Alouettes are going to be dangerous if you try to put them in a corner and, let them have those chips on their shoulders. So I'm personally super excited for this upcoming season. One little thing that a debate that we need to squash a little bit here between two of your receivers. Who's got the quicker feet? We got to know between Tyson and Keon.
It's got to be Tyson.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, but Keon's faster than Tyson.
Okay, because I saw Tyson call out Keon in a little slow feet don't eat challenge, and
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
It's Tyson's quicker feet, but Keon in a straight line any day.
Okay, I love it. It. Well, Davis, thank you so much for taking the time today. It was an absolute blast. We're looking forward to seeing you back in Montreal very, very soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, honestly.